This trivet was designed by Gordo over at the Rocky Mountain School. He was working with Francis Whitaker at the time. Gordo has long since retired, and it's probably 20 years since I made this first trivet. But as part of the process, I made sample pieces and scroll forms. So I have everything I need to make another one of these, and I thought I would share the process with you today. This is made from 1/4 by 1/2, and my cut length is stamped on here at 22 3/4 inches. We'll need 3 matching scrolls to make our trivet. The most important thing on this is to make 3 pieces that are identical. So make your first scroll, and if you're going to do several of these trivets, make some scroll forms, take some notes, and that'll make it easier to get these all the same. I'm going to go ahead and do each step to all 3 bars at the same time and progress them all together, and that way I can compare them and make sure they're all staying the same length, the tapers are all looking the same before I do any of the scrolling. That first taper is going to become the foot of the trivet, and it's allowed to fishtail out. The second taper is going to be part of the scroll that will be flat and your pot will sit on it, so it needs to be a parallel taper. And again, I'm going to work all 3 bars at the same time so that they match. With the tapers for the scrolls forged on both ends, I want to make sure these are the same length before I go on to scrolling. These look good, so it's time to move on to the next step, and that is pre-bending the ends of the scrolls before we go to the scroll forms. Pre-forming these ends will help these engage the scroll form more cleanly, and it'll make the whole process go smoother. And again, the most important thing is that all 3 pieces for each trivet match. It's okay if there's a little variation from one trivet to another, but they really should match within one piece. If you get a little bit too tight, you can open it up with a pair of scrolling tongs. I will go ahead and clean this end up on the scroll form just to be sure it fits right. Then I'll let these cool so I can turn them end for end and go ahead and do that scroll that's the foot first, just so it's done and out of the way when we do the main scroll. Make sure there's no twist in the end there. And once again, we'll go to the scroll form and make these match. The exact amount of curve you put in them is not as important as that they match, so your trivet will sit level in the end. Now, in an ideal world, you have 3 mathematically perfect scrolls that are going to nest together into a nice, perfect circle. Now, personally, I've never lived in that world, so I accept right from the start that there's going to be some fiddling, some adjusting. Maybe the scrolls need to be tightened up a little bit, or in this case, I think they need to be opened up a little bit so everything's going to fit right. And this may actually take longer to get this thing all fit up just right and assembled than it took to forge the scrolls. I think working cold with bending forks is going to be the way to go with this. Okay, I've been kind of tweaking and adjusting these a little bit. Got them all messed up and no longer exactly the same for each scroll, so I brought them back up to heat, put them back on the scroll form, got them back to where we started at. But then I took a little closer look at my sample scroll from my earlier piece. I noticed the inside of the scroll isn't quite as tight as what I've made these new scrolls, and that means this can slide around the scroll jig a little further, so it's going around a larger circumference of the scroll jig than what these new scrolls are. So I'm going to open that up on all these, go back to the scroll jig again, and see if I can get these all to lay in there the same way this one does, and hope that fixes the problem, or at least gets us a little closer. This is just the process you have to be willing to go through sometimes to get things to come out the way you want them to. It still ends up about an inch short of where the other one was, so perhaps I didn't draw my tapers out enough, or maybe I've over-scrolled the foot a little bit. Well, now I'm a little long, but I think we'll try that and make all of these match. I've probably spent another hour or so screwing around with this, going back and forth with it, but I think I'm getting pretty close. And I can't provide you with any specific instructions for what to do to solve which problem. You just got to look at what you have and psych it out. And if you guess wrong, go back, do it again. This goes together with 1/8" rivets. I'm making a few other fine adjustments with this as I go through the riveting process. But with a little patience and determination, the job does get done. There may be a little bit of tweaking just to level things out if one of these scrolls is dipped a little bit. But right now, it looks pretty darn good. So I think the next step is to put a little bit of paste wax on that. I'll warm it lightly in the forge, melt some paste wax on it, and this should be done. And there we have our finished trivet. If you're going to try and make something like this, it's probably best to start with a full-size layout. Take the time to draw this so you can make all your scrolls fit exactly. Then make the scroll forms to fit the first scroll so that they all come out the same. It doesn't have to be exactly this size or exactly this shape or anything else. Use your imagination and get creative. Having said that, this one's about 8.5 inches outer diameter. So that's about 210 millimeters, something like that. None of that is critical. If you'd like to provide financial support for the videos here at Black Bear Forge, there are links in the video description for both Patreon and PayPal. Those are merely donations. You can watch all the videos you'd like over here on YouTube, absolutely free. In the meantime, I hope you have time in your day to get out to your shop, make something, but stay safe, wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next video.